Yo, it's Captain bringing you a very early impressions of Wuthering Waves, the new game that came out like less than a week ago by Koro Games, the makers of Punishing Gray Raven, which I heard a lot about. I don't know like how super popular it was, but I remember it was all a buzz when it came out, and now this has come out and everybody's a buzz about it. Probably more so because Um, Punishing Gray Raven is a game similar to Honkai Impact Third, which I like quite a bit, but is not nearly as popular as the other game by that company, Genshin Impact, because that one took the world by storm. Well, this is Koro Games' kind of version of Genshin Impact. So, what does that mean? It is a open world action RPG. It's, I don't know. It's going to be hard to talk about this game if you don't know Genshin. I'm going to kind of assume that you do, and I'm going to compare it a lot to Genshin because that was my approach. Which I should explain, but I should tell you first just like how far did we get? Like how early are these impressions? They're pretty early. I've played like 4 hours and not all that was gameplay because I streamed it. So I streamed for 4 hours. I probably played for like 3 hours, and I play slowly, thoroughly, but slowly. So these are going to be early impressions. I will most likely, well, I'm planning on playing again tomorrow, so I'll most likely bring you more impressions tomorrow, if it feels like I've learned anything else. But my main approach to this game was to compare it to Genshin because I like Genshin. There's a lot of things I like about Genshin. I like Hoyo games. I like Honkai. I like Genshin. I like Star Rail. I like all of those. So I've played them all. They're really good. Um, so this is a different company, and it's kind of well like, hey, if Genshin's gonna establish, if Genshin's gonna be so popular, then it can establish a genre, and we can release a game in that genre. That's how I see Wuthering Waves. It is another release in the Genshin style genre. Now I don't know what you want to call the Genshin style genre. Most when Genshin came out, everybody just said it was Breath of the Wild 3, 4, 5. Because when Breath of the Wild came out, a whole bunch of games came out like Breath of the Wild. But it's not really. I mean, it's unfair to just say it's a Breath of the Wild clone because it's really not. It's a big JRPG. Breath of the Wild is an adventure game. And this Wuthering Waves is in that style. So it's got RPGs, it's got levels on your characters, it's got level on your weapons, it's got levels on your skills. I'm assuming like Genshin, there's going to be a daily grind, to do those kinds of things. That's how these games are set up. And the daily grind gets you currency that'll and will help you do the pulls and stuff because it's a gotcha game, just like Genshin is. And there's a story. It seems the presentation is very similar to Genshin. I think it's supposed to be similar, but I'll tell you how it's different because I came into this game thinking like I love Genshin, but I don't really like the gameplay, and that's the main thing that has prevented me from continuing with Genshin, and why I actually play a lot more Star Rail. Um, because I like the gameplay in Star Rail a lot better, even though it's very different. It's not an action game; it's a turn-based game. But Genshin is not bad, but it's not really my flavor of action. I want it to be more action oriented, which is what Wuthering Waves is supposed to be. So this is why I'm interested in it. And I have trouble. The movement it's like Breath of the Wild to me. It's like a little bit jank. It's a little bit like I wish I had more control of my character. I wish it was more action oriented, and I felt like I had a lot of control of the character. So when I came to Wuthering Waves, I'm like, this looks like Genshin, but with combat that I would like, but with gameplay that I would like. So really, what I'm sitting down trying to do when I play this is that the case? Like, do I like this gameplay? Because visually, it's not bad, but it's not necessarily my taste. And right, Genshin's already got great visuals, great characters, great story, right? So if those I have settled, I'm not really looking for that from this game. Now you might be. You might be, and it is interesting for me to see these things. Like the story so far isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because people were like, "Oh, this story's rough and it doesn't get good to Act 5." And they're probably right. I mean, it's not like it's not like real gripping or anything. This story's campy. It's campy. Its characters are a little goofy, you know. It's probably doesn't have the polish that Genshin would, um, in those departments. I mean, that is where Genshin shines. The characters and this, and the story, and like really getting you involved in that. And this is great because that makes you want the gacha. It's not like, well, you got to pull on the gacha because you're going to lose an arena. You got to pull on the gacha because your characters suck. It's like, no, we're going to give you a really cool story and you're going to really like the characters. So you're going to want to pull on them just because you like them. So, you could argue that's pretty important for Wuthering Waves to do that because it'll be in the same vein. But weirdly enough, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the gameplay, right? If the characters are fun, right, then I'll be into them. But this story did. I'm kind of just throwing the story in here because it's really like it's just really not. It's pretty. It's very passable. There's a lot of like proper nouns thrown at you. It's got that like, yo, I made this really cool fantasy world, let me tell you all about it. And they just, you ever had a friend like that and they just start going off about all these things and you're like, what is it? What's a jumbo? And they're like, what do you mean what's a jumbo? I just explained it. And you're like, was it the guys with the tails? Like, oh my god, a jumbo would never have a tail. You ever had a friend like that? That's what it seems like with this story. They just start throwing shit at you. And I think it's all like Chinese words, right? I think the company's in China, like Hoyo, and so all the nouns they make up, very Chinese flavored. But I will say the voice actors seem to be able to pronounce them, which is something I never was. So I used to, particularly when Genshin came out, I used to have to switch the voices over to Chinese to try to see how to say people. Like they'd get their own names wrong, presumably because no one would give them voice direction, because that's usually the problem with localization is how like the developers can't check it. Like how do you check something that you don't understand, right? So you run into things like this. You just get somebody to translate the script and hope they figure it out. You got more things to worry about, right? Like it's focusing a lot on localization is a really high level of polish. So, we see it from later stuff in Genshin because Genshin got really popular, and they're like, okay, well we should invest in this. We have a huge audience over there. But I will say, like, I'm playing on the English dub. Some of the characters seem better than others. It's most likely all down the voice direction. I don't blame any of the voice actors. I don't blame anything. People doing their stuff. But some of the characters land for me, some of them don't. It's going to be subjective, but I'd say it's not like super stellar, super polished. It's not going to blow you away. And the story itself seems to be the same. It opened with a really cool cutscene. It seems very like anime, like weird stuff and crazy things, and I don't know how to explain it except it goes real anime. Like Nier. How Nier Automata goes, and then all of a sudden it goes mega anime, and one of the human robots goes up and grabs all the orbs to himself, and everything starts swirling. To me, that's when things go full anime, and that's kind of you get a cutscene opens like that, all this wild stuff going on. It seems to be more of an anime enthusiast kind of story, kind of thing, kind of basic, but fun. I'm not super into anime. I only know it through Japanese games because I play a lot of Japanese games, but I don't really like watch anime or whatever. So, but I tell you, the characters were fun. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed that it seemed to be a little hammy, a little campy, and I'm cool with that. I don't need a big heavy story right now, personally. I don't want. It's not what I'm looking for. So something that's just kind of passable and gives me some fun moments. I'm into, and that's what the story was kind of doing. I saw some cool things. I had some chuckles. Right. Some of it was just like, what are all these? What are all these nouns you're talking about? This seems like some anime bullshit, but whatever. It worked for me. Like I didn't hate it. Um, what else? So is there? I'm just waiting to get to the gameplay because that's the part I really liked. I think that's good. So that's the part people were worried about, and it seems fine. But what I'm looking for is the gameplay. Is it better than Genshin's? Is it more to my taste than Genshin's? Probably more accurate because the gameplay's. You might really like Genshin gameplay. Well, I am happy to say that first impressions, I tried to test out a lot of things. I really enjoyed this gameplay. There's a lot of things I love about open worlds, and there's a lot of things I don't like. And one of the things is the combat seems to always not be fun. It's watered down. It's one of the things I don't like about Breath of the Wild. The gameplay, the moment to moment gameplay isn't that great. It doesn't last that long compared to how much you can get out of exploring the world. That lasts forever. I could do that forever. But like the combat starts to get old. Now, am I gonna know if the combat starts to get old in this game? No, I haven't played it very long. But I feel like it's gonna take longer because it's more in depth. It's more interesting. So it's more action oriented. You have perfect dodges and you get like a little counter attack. You get a reward for that. Right? You still only have a few buttons. You have your light attack, which is the attack button. You have your heavy attack, which is hold the attack button. You have a skill that has a cooldown, right? It's not a perfect action system. It's not Devil May Cry. You have a skill and it does a thing, and then it's on cooldown for a little bit. And then you have an ultimate that you charge up and does a big thing. But then there's more. You also have a meter. You have a meter above your health. And as you charge that up, you could do different things with it with different characters. The main character uses the meter to buff their skill, the thing with the cooldown. Another character uses that meter to expend it on a super attack with their regular attack. So it's about building all of it up and then popping it all. Another character uses it like ammunition and can do like a constant shooting. They build it up and then you can go rapid fire mode and expend it all. So this just adding this meter adds a lot of interest and complexity to the characters. Plus, they've got dodges, like the dodges and the counterattacks. It's not just a dodge. If you dodge properly, you get a counterattack. Also, there's interesting combos. So the main character has a four hit combo, but if you pause the third hit, you get a special fourth attack that is better. So you can mash out the buttons and do your 4 attack, or you can do 1, 2, 3, pause, wait for the flash, hit on the flash, time it right, and you do a cooler attack. And if that connects, you can actually get a fifth of your combo, a fifth move in your combo. This is really cool. I like systems like this. This is more action oriented. I like combos. I like interest. Another character doesn't have that, right? So the characters themselves are different to play. That's really nice for me. I like that stuff. Now, I mean Genshin's like that too, but I mean different in the combos. It feels like these are much more action oriented things. Think about like picking a different weapon in Monhan. You get a different set of combos. It's using the same buttons. Think about picking a different character in Smash Brothers. It's the same buttons, but they work differently. Their normal attacks work differently. Their special, works differently, and you get different combos and different things you can do out of that. These are things that I really like. There's a system where if you switch your character, because you're going to have 3 on a team, I actually don't know. I actually don't know what the max is because I've only played so far as to get 3 characters. It's usually 3 or 4 on a team. Genshin's 4. Honkai and I think Punishing Gray Raven were 3. So we'll see. We'll see what it has. But what's nice, when you switch your characters, they will come in with a special attack if you build up another meter. So as you're playing, you build up a meter, um, and if it's full, when you switch in, you get a cooler switch in. So it's encouraging you. There doesn't. I don't think there's a cooldown on this switch. Ooh, I didn't look at that. I didn't look. I didn't look if there was a cooldown on the switching. I didn't think there was. But I think the issue is like, well, if you switch too fast, you're not going to get the cool intro and outro attack. So when you switch a character in, they do a cool attack, and your character leaving does a cool attack, like a tag team kind of thing. But that only works if you left the character in long enough to build up that meter. So you're encouraged to play with the character for a little bit and then switch them out. I think that's really nice. It's not, it's not tied. If you played Honkai, the switch in isn't tied to the character you're switching in. It's tied to the character you're playing. As you're just building that meter. As long as you get that meter built up, you can then switch anybody out at any time, and you'll get the cool attack. Right? That's really nice. There's also a layered system on top of this where you can get Pokemon and you can use your Pokemon's ability, which is pretty neat. The Pokemon are like your gear. They're like your relics, which is like your gear in these games, like your armor. It's not really armor, but it's giving you the stat bonuses and stuff. But one of them you put at your top slot, and it gives you a special ability. Some of them are like transforms, where you turn into that monster for a little bit. A lot of them are just like you summon the monster to do a quick thing really quick. I had a lot of fun with the boar, because you summon it and it like appears next to the enemy and just launches them up really quick. Just the boar just goes boar, and it's pretty fun. So you got that to do in combat, right? You can switch those up. For example, some of these combos. So one of the characters, the one I was talking about that builds up the 3 and then the 3 stocks and uses them. So that character can build up a stock by finishing its 4-hit normal combo, by using the skill, or I think it gets one on switch in if you switch it in, with the cool attack, right? And I think there was something else I forgot. So if you switch character in properly, you're going to start with 1. Then you need to finish your combo and do your skill, right? And now you're up to 3. And now what you could do is you can jump attack, which you don't have to jump off a ledge for. Just you can attack just from a regular jump, which I think is really nice. And if you hold down the attack when you do that, you will expend your 3 stocks, your 3 charges, should call them that, and it'll do a bigger attack. So you see there's like a rotation. It's not quite an action game. It's not quite like a full expressive action game where you can just do whatever you want and you're just constantly reacting. There is kind of an idea. There is kind of like a rotational idea of you're building things and expending them. Maybe it doesn't seem like it's super rigid from these super early impressions. Like I said, there's several ways to build up that meter, but there's probably a best way. It's probably like switch in, do skill, do, the 4 attacks, then hit the button, right? There's probably a best way to do it. So maybe once you're really into it, you're just like cycling through rotations. But I think it's nice. I think it's flexible enough that it's engaging to me when I was fighting enemies in the open world. It was something for me to work on. It was something for me to improve at. And it was something that I could respond to the things. Sometimes that changes. Sometimes once you figure out what you're supposed to be doing, you feel like you have to do that all the time. And you don't really get to respond. I haven't played the game enough to get that far. Like that happened to me in Honkai. Where it's like, well, there's my team only works if I put this whole 2-minute combo in, and if anything gets in the way, I should just reset the challenge because the team only works if I put in the 2-minute combo. That actually really annoys me, and I don't know. This a rotation system, a team-based rotation system, can end up like that. I hope it doesn't, because I prefer more flexible combat. I prefer you know, a more true action experience. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So far, I felt good. I felt like I was getting to make choices. I felt like I was getting to pick combos. I felt like I was getting a different experience with different characters. And I was looking for ways to synergize them together and think about how I can have them support each other. I haven't gotten that far. Like I said, I just got the third character. Did I tell you how far I got? I just got to the town, the first town. That's as far as I got. So I probably should have opened with that 20 minutes ago. Whoops. Uh, but that's how far I got. So I just got the third character. You get the third character town, and I played around with her a little bit to try her out. And because she's your first ranged character, so your first two characters have swords, but as I described them, they're quite different. And then the third character is a ranged character, uses pistols. That's the rapid fire thing. So it'll be fun to try to figure out how to put some teams together, see how it works. Let me is there anything else I need to tell you about this? Let me show it to you. I've got the first, you kind of get a tutorial boss, and it teaches you how to dodge. It teaches you how to counterattack. I guess I can talk about counterattacks. There's technically a parry system, but it's not really a parry system. It's a counterattack system. There are some attacks from some enemies that will put a thing on your screen, where if you attack at the right timing, it puts like a circle on your screen and it shows in. And if you attack them right when that circle hits, you'll get a counterattack, which is a nice system. It is fun. It was engaging to do this boss fight. So I'll show you this boss fight, or at least some of it, so you can kind of get a feel for this, so you know what I'm talking about. And you'll get to see a little bit of these higher level mechanics. The meters are down at the bottom middle. The skills are at the bottom right. Here, wasn't gonna switch until I hit play, but where we can, there you go. There's the bottom is your meters and your health. And the bottom right is your skills. All right, I'll hit play now, and you can see kind of how this goes. And then on the right is your two characters that you can switch from. Hopefully I time this clip right. So yeah, it just starts off. It's really trying to teach you how to do it. So you get a perfect dodge there. It's pretty generous, and if you do the perfect dodge, it's pretty obvious that you did it. You get like a cool effect, and you can do a counter. You can do a follow-up attack with it, right? Let's see. I don't know how long to wait on this to show you stuff. See, there's like an ultimate that you can see, because this fight ultimate gets pretty cool. See, she's got three. I had built up 3 of her charges, and that was the cool attack you get to do when you expend it all. She's also got a neat thing where you can just jump to do the attack, but you can also do her heavy attack, and it will, if it hits the enemy, you will naturally launch from it, and so that puts you in great range to do your triple. Right there, you get to see doing the 1, 2, 3 pause combo, and you get like that rush to him. That was the switch where you get like a cool attack when you switch. And so right, this girl, I'm trying to build up those 3 charges and try not to die. And try not to get uppercut, and I'm failing, you know. But see, you get the dodge, and he's like, oh, I got wings now. I'm trying to wait till they show us the counterattack thing. It's pretty cool. I was whining about it on stream because I was mashing the button here, so I didn't get to read the tutorial. I was like, please don't tutorial me in the middle of a fight. I don't know what's it. So then for like the longest, I didn't know the counterattack. But you can see that big ring. He has a yellow ring on him when he attacks. And that is your cue. You can counterattack that move right there. If you time it properly, you get a cool attack. And you can see under his health at the top, he's got this break bar. And I think they said just attacking in general hits the break bar, but getting the counterattacks really knocks that break bar down. And so you're going to get highly rewarded for doing them. See, I think at this point I still hadn't figured out the counterattacks because I had missed those tutorials. So I was trying to dodge these things. It wasn't working very well. Let's see if I can get him down. There you go. And then he gets down. If you break their little their little break bar, they go down, and you can walk up to them and do a cool finisher. Boom! And you get like a cool animation. So there's a lot going on. This character, you see, it's got 2 charges above their health bar. You can just use those whenever you want on the skill. You don't have to build them and expend them all at once like you do with the other character. This character has the 3 charges. That little circle next to the health and bar is the, as you charge that circle, that's how you get the special switch out attack. If that one's full, you can then switch out your character and get it. You can switch them out anyways, but if you switch it out when that's full, they get like a cool entrance attack and you get a cool outro attack. And those are things like your other attacks that you can level up and stuff. There you go. It's a cool finisher. I don't know if it's only the main character that can finish. Anyway, so there you go. And then we killed him. Then we killed him. So I think that's oh, here you could see this. Here's some cutscene quality. I've actually thought it was pretty good. See, this is I have a tendency to like talk to chat in the middle of these cutscenes, so I don't know if we're gonna get farther than that. I'm gonna assume we're not. I probably was talking about the fight. But what I liked about the cutscene quality was they do a lot of close-ups, and they have a pretty high fidelity character model, like comparatively to some of the other games, you know, like comparatively like Genshin or something. And so there's a lot, they can do a lot with the expressions and the animations. I probably clicked off it right at the moment. You could have seen she should do an action, a take. You can see the takes really well. And I thought that was nice. It was nice to get that kind of higher level facial animations, particularly with an abstract art style like anime. And I think it adds a lot to it. So I was enjoying watching the cutscenes. People will talk about Star Rail and they'll say the cutscenes get boring because they're just kind of standing there. And it doesn't bother me so much, but I do, you know, I do see the value. It would be much better if they were emoting and moving around and stuff. And I feel like this game had a lot of that flexibility just built in. So even when they do a machinima cutscene, which is what most of your cutscenes are going to be, it did feel like they could make fun expressions. They often made fun expressions, you know, including like teeth and you know, of course, the eye and the eyebrow movements that you usually see. So it was fun, but there was also like a lot of cool posing and head posing they could do. So that was really nice. It was a nice touch to make the cutscenes more enjoyable. But mainly, I got off a tangent there. Mainly, that was an example of the combat. So hopefully, the description of letting you know the things you can do and then showing it to you gave you a good understanding of just the kind of things you can do and how it feels. Because action games or any sort of action system is about how it feels. It's not like a thinking thing where, well, it is a thinking thing because there's tactics and strategy, but it's not, you know, I could explain a turn-based system to you and it would probably make sense because you don't really feel it. You just pick things off a menu. But the action, it's hard to watch and really understand what's going on. You know, understand what the feeling of it is. So hopefully the explanation helped. So there's a lot of complexity to what's going on, not like a super amount of complexity, but there's several things you're monitoring. You're monitoring your meter that every character has, but is used differently. You're monitoring, well, you're probably monitoring your health on some level. You're monitoring, you know, when you can switch out and do a cool thing. You're thinking about what the abilities your characters have because they have different normal combos, they have different skills, they have different ultimates, and you know which one's going to be helpful. So there's a lot to think about, and that means there's a lot of choices to make, and that makes me happy. That's the kind of action I like. That's why I like action games, because you get a lot of instant choices, you get instant tactics, you get instant strategy, and it's how well can you do it on the fly. It's like playing Smash Brothers, right? Like playing a fighting game, right? You have tools, can you use them at the right time in the right ways? That's gameplay that I find engaging, that I enjoy. And this, so far in my very limited play of it, has given me much more of that than the other open world games that I play, like Genshin and like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is fun because of all the toys you get to play with, and you could fuse together a robot and drop it on the enemy. It's not necessarily that fun to run in there and do your 4-hit combo and, I don't know, block. I do like blocking, actually. I think it's a really nice mechanic, just in general. But I mean, that's only going to take you so far. Every combat, everything you do is going to get old eventually. But the more it's got going for it, the more tools you have in your toolkit, the more interesting choices you get to make while playing, it's going to last longer. That's why fighting games will last you so long. And character fighters or spectacle fighters or character action games, which are essentially PvE fighters, feel so good to keep replaying because there's always more technique you can practice. There's always like better choices you could do. There's more tools you can learn, and better things you can work with, and it'll last a long time because there's always something to improve on. Once you've mastered it, it's only going to be fun for so long before it's just like, oh, I've done this already. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the gameplay and the combat in Wuthering Waves. The other relevant thing to say about the gameplay is the exploration, the character movement. I looked for a good clip for this, but I couldn't find it. One of the things that really annoys me in these other open world games is the whole game is about exploring, but the actual character control of the exploring can be really annoying. Like, you can climb everywhere, and that was revolutionary and amazing, and I always miss it in a game where I can't climb everywhere. But actually, I find the climbing in Breath of the Wild really annoying. It's very slow, and it expends stamina. I feel like I'm getting punished twice. I understand that you feel like the climbing needs to be hard, so you're going to make it expend stamina. Well, then why is it slow as well? Why, or if you feel like it's supposed to be hard so it'll go slowly, why is it expending stamina as well? Like, why am I getting like double punished for climbing, right? Why am I getting punished for sprinting around when I just want to run around on the thing? It's like I can sprint for 5 seconds and then I have to stop. I really hate stamina bars because I feel like they limit gameplay. Occasionally, I like them in combat where you're kind of, it's a resource for you to manage. But most of the time, I feel like games get that wrong too. Most of the time, if a game has a stamina bar, it's just something for me to be mad at because I'm trying to play the game and I'm constantly out of stamina. This game does have a stamina bar, but right from the get-go, it's very generous. I did notice it. I did use it. I did run out of it. But I didn't feel like I was constantly limited by it. I didn't feel like it was the be-all and end-all and that I was a slave to the stamina bar and that I could only play in 5-second bursts. I did not feel that way. And there's several reasons. One, because they give you a good chunk of it to start with. It doesn't get used super fast. You have a lot to play with. You have a big pool, at least compared to these other games I'm talking about. And they do things like you can sprint in the open world, and it doesn't use stamina. Oh no! It's almost like we figured out what's fun 100 years ago. It's to hit the run button, and we've now rediscovered it. We've unearthed it. We've unearthed the ancient tomes that that told us how to have fun with sprinting. And it wasn't have the sprint use stamina. It was just make the sprint not use stamina. All of a sudden running around the world's fun again. Because I can just run. And I'll tell you this. You can climb up the wall and it takes stamina, but you know what else you can do? You can run up the wall. You can just sprint at the wall and go woo and run up it. And it'll burn your stamina, but you're running up a wall. It's cool. It's amazing. When you hit like little hooks, you remember, in Zelda when you're like oh, oh, oh. There's like a little ledge because 20 minutes ago when you started climbing, you tried to look up and see where the path was, but you misjudged one of the angles and now Link can't get past the ledge and you just have to drop off. Start over, recharge your stamina and start over and try to pick a different path because somebody somewhere thought that was engaging and fun gameplay. This time, if you hit, they do like a parkour thing. They do Assassin's Creed parkour where if you hit like a weird outcropping, your character just like does a bicycle flip over it. Looks cool. Of course, it expends some stamina, but it doesn't get in your way. It lets you just move around. You can just run up things. I ran up a tower so easily and fluidly and intuitively that I was just so satisfied just to get to the top of it. And it was a little tricky once I get to the top. I kept falling off, but it wasn't a big deal because it was actually fun to run up there. It wasn't like I got to spend the next 10 minutes trying to get back on there because climbing is the worst thing ever. No, it was just fun. It was fun to move around. There doesn't seem to be a way to turn off auto climb if you run into a wall, which I mean, this is so obvious. I don't know why games don't do it. Basically like a little switch that says don't start climbing unless I jump first. That's probably how you should do climbing in every game because there's so many times in things like Genshin, in things like Zelda, where I'm just trying to move from the enemies or I'm in a tense situation. I'm just trying to run around something and all of a sudden I'm climbing on it and then I'm like not moving when I want to and then I'm getting killed. And that drives me insane. So you just fix it by I don't climb unless I hit a button to do it, like jump. Now this game didn't have that, but I did try it. I did see how magnety the walls were. It didn't seem too bad. But here's the thing. You're not really that limited once you're on the wall. Like you can just sprint and run over the wall. So even if you do get stuck, if you're trying to run away and you get sucked onto a wall, well, you're still running. You're just on the wall. It's just going to take more stamina. So it's still like, it could still be better, but that does mitigate the problem quite a bit. Because, the big problem with you getting stuck on the wall when you don't want to is now all of a sudden your movement is just killed. Well, you can still move around. And it's like a cool ninja thing. It's like Warframe or something where you're like running on the walls. People like that. Like Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. You can glide and run and jump and do everything infinitely. There's no stamina bar. And you know what? It's really fun. And it encourages exploration because I don't have to worry about it. So this is more like that. I can just run around on the walls and have a good time. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was great. So I liked the movement. I liked the exploration gameplay where the character controls a movement. I thought they were good. I thought they were fluid. I thought they were intuitive. I thought they were responsive, which are all things I think are lacking from the usual open world games I play. And I really liked the combat. Right? I had lots of things to think about. I had lots of choices to make. So now it's only been a few hours, right? But these are the things that I went in looking for. So I was trying to thoroughly test them and see how they go. And so far, they're holding up. So far, I like them. Will it continue? I don't know. But I came into this looking for, is this the Genshin with the gameplay I like? Is this the open world game with the gameplay that I like? Is this the Zelda with cool action combat? And from first impressions, it seems to be. I don't know how far that'll go. I don't know how long it'll last. But yes, there's a lot more for me to sink my teeth into, and I am enjoying it. I am eager to play more. Like I said, the story didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. The characters, like the style and the tone. Well, let's just say like the art style, the kind of what they're going for isn't really my taste. Like I said, it seems to be more, more like an anime enthusiast thing. It's a little bit of a heavier, but actually the tone of the story had a lot of camp and fun to it. So I can get into that. I can enjoy that. You know, the art style's not really my thing, but I did come to appreciate um, the higher fidelity models that they were using that could do a lot of takes on the camera and give a lot more expression than I thought they were going to give. And so I was enjoying that. And, you know, I can get over an art style not being my thing. I can get into something, you know, and I was getting into it and I was having a good time. I was enjoying it. Even characters I like, it's kind of like, that's not really my thing. You know, once you see them and they're running around and they're talking, you get used to them and you're like, you know what? She's all right. She's pretty fun, you know? So that was nice. The story's probably going to be some anime bullshit, but I don't know. I don't need to invest in it too much. It's not what I'm looking for. If it's a little bullshitty and crazy, but it's fun and gives me some camp laughs and some cool things to look at, that'll be enough for me personally. Right? I'm interested in the gameplay, and the gameplay is holding up. Feels good to move around. Feels good to combat. So, first impressions for Wuthering Waves are pretty good. I mean, it was better than I thought it'd be. Right? And I didn't think it'd be terrible. But I can see why people have been playing it, and people are still playing it. You know, they've been playing it this past week and having a good time. You know, it's the new hot thing. That's most of what it is. But I can see why people don't mind trying out the new hot thing. And I've liked it. I'm looking forward to playing it tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have any more relevant things to say about it, but I'll try to do some video tomorrow. Second impressions. What do we call it? I don't know. I don't know what I could learn, but maybe what I learn, I'll tell you. So, you know, these are first impressions in progress. Impressions in progress. I don't know what to call this. Dude. This video's been long enough. That's my thoughts on Wuthering Waves. First impressions. First few hours in it, getting to the first town. That's how I feel about it. It leaves a strong, or it gives a strong first impression. I am impressed and wanting to play more. And I mean, what more can you ask for from the start of a game? So, looking forward to trying some more of it. But we got to wrap this up. So, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you found something interesting. I hope you got a little insight into the game. Maybe you're like me and looking for the same kinds of things I am. I hope you got some insight. Probably buried the lead too long and you tuned out because I waffled on about story and stuff. But if not, you're hearing me right now, and thank you for getting this far in the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope things go well for you. Thank you for hanging, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you around.